Welcome to the Ponca City Public Schools Board Wrap-Up Show. I'm your host, Sean Anderson, and this is our monthly Board Wrap-Up. Right after the Board of Education monthly meeting, we have this show to recap the items that were discussed and the things that happened during that Board of Education meeting with Ponca City Public Schools. And our guest, as always, Dr. Pennington, Superintendent of Ponca City Public Schools. And Dr. Pennington, December, here we are, and we're about ready to wrap up the fall semester.
It's a pretty exciting time at the Ponca City Public Schools. We have lots of students who are excited. If they're young students, they're excited for Christmas. If they're high school students, they're excited to be out for about 10 days. So, everybody's anxiously looking toward a week from yesterday, a week from Wednesday, so that as we have our last day for the 2016 year.
Yeah, and a lot of things discussed, and I say a lot of things, not really. It was a shorter meeting, as
Right.
some of the meetings go throughout the years, or throughout the months of the school year. But this December meeting, a few key issues, and we'll discuss these with Dr. Pennington. Native American hearing. Now, Ponca City Public Schools, like a lot of districts in this area, receive impact aid
Right.
money. And tell us about the Native American hearing and how that
Okay.
was a part of the board meeting.
Okay, so every year we're required by federal law, because we receive impact aid, to have a set aside time in a board meeting where we have a hearing so that our Native American constituents can either ask questions of the board or can express opinions or make recommendations. What impact aid is? Impact aid is a program that reimburses school districts for revenue they do not receive because you have what they consider to be federally impacted land. So, for example, if you have a low-income housing project, those projects don't pay traditional property taxes like an apartment complex would or a house. And so because you don't receive property taxes on that, because it's a federal property, then you're impacted by that. If you are in Enid or Midwest City, you participate in impact aid because you have military installations. Tinker Air Force Base doesn't pay property taxes to Oklahoma County, but yet they have a lot of land in the Midwest City Dale City School District. For us, we receive that money because of some low income housing, but the majority of that is going to be land that is held in trust by the tribes. So that could be the White Eagle. It could be maybe a home that the tribe has bought, and so because that now is their property, and they've gone through the steps to get that removed from the tax roll, so to speak, and then they house one of their members in that. So that's kind of what the plan is. It's interesting because of the way the law works. When we and you only get the money if you have students that are living in the property or on the land. So if you've got an apartment complex that is some kind of federal subsidized housing, but there are no children living in that complex, then you don't receive any impact aid for that complex. For us, if we received all the impact aid we should receive, we'd receive somewhere in the neighborhood of $650,000 to $700,000 a year. But the federal government's never fully funded impact aid, and when they fund it, they pay more money. Of the limited money they have, they favor military installations over other types of federally impacted property. And they have another provision that if you're a school district above a certain size, you even receive less. So we should receive between $650,000 and $700,000 a year. Generally, we get somewhere between $50,000 and $70,000. So it's really a big deal to us. I mean, it's really a significant loss of revenue that it's frustrating and irritating, and
Right.
because of the decisions by the federal government, that property is not paying property taxes like every other business, home, industry within K County is.
Right. That was one of the issues at the board meeting, and the other issue was kind of a fun thing, really. It's just approving these contracts for these big projects coming up. Two big in construction companies involved: Sooner Construction, Rick Scott Construction. And tell us about these contracts that were approved.
So, it's probably been 4 years ago, the Board of Education decided that rather than do a traditional general contractor mode of construction, where you develop your project and then you send it out for bids and various general contractors bid on that, and the lowest best bid gets to build the project, we made a decision to do what we call construction management. So what that means is we pick a construction manager, and then that construction manager is in charge of a specific project. They work closely with the architect to design that project, and then they're responsible to go out and solicit and collect bids from subcontractors. We like that for a couple of reasons. One, it means that we know who is going to be the individual responsible for our project. And while we've had really good luck with some general contractors who do not live in Ponca City, we think it's great that we have two really high quality construction firms here in our community, Rick Scott and Sooner Construction. So when we passed our bond issue last October, at that time we distributed the different projects between the two firms. But each year we have to go back in and reapprove those contracts. And so we approved Monday night that Rick Scott Construction would be the construction manager for the press box, which is good because if you've been out by the football stadium, you know the press box is gone. They've already started on that project. They're also the construction manager for Robinson Fieldhouse, which will start as soon as wrestling and basketball is over this year. They're the construction manager for the new football locker room. They're the construction manager for the weight room. They're the construction manager for the existing football locker room renovation. So really all our athletic facility projects are going to be supervised, managed by Rick Scott Construction. On the other side, Sooner Construction, they have the contract for the concert hall. And then they also have the contract to put we're replacing the heating and air conditioning systems at East next summer, and we'll also be doing some renovation at West Middle School. And so those are Sooner Construction projects. We really have a lot of construction going on, really starting now and probably till August of 2018. There's going to be really a lot of activity from a construction standpoint within our community, which is a great thing because it allows us to keep local individuals involved in the construction trades. We're able to keep them working, which is good for our local economy. Also, we have lots of local companies who, whether they're heat and air systems or electrical companies, plumbing, others, it allows them to continue to work and to be close to home. So we think it's a real benefit for the community to be able to do this.
Those contracts approved, and another contract approved, and it's something that perhaps we don't think about, but when you think about all of the properties with Ponca City Public Schools, now think about how many light bulbs, how many light fixtures in all of these schools. So you approved a new contract to transition all of the lighting over to LED lighting. Now, if you're like me, you've noticed, or like anybody, in the light bulb section of your store, the LED bulbs are a little more costly. But Dr. Pennington, we're talking about a long-term savings that is really going to have an immediate impact. Please tell us.
Right. So we've kind of looked into this for probably about a 9-month process. There are companies that have gotten into the LED light replacement business, and so what they'll do is, and we've had the same thing happen over the years in energy management and those kinds of things, where because the initial cost is so expensive, you just don't have the money to go do it right away. So what they'll do is they'll come in and we do a lease purchase agreement with them. So we have an agreement with a company out of Tulsa, and they're going to come in and replace all of our LED lights, do whatever they need to do to make it so that our systems can operate with LED lights. And we're going to pay for that. The way we pay for that is we pay it with savings from our electric bill. So the estimated savings that we have by making this conversion is $300,000 a year.
Wow.
So for the next 5 to 7 years, we're going to be taking that $300,000 a year and we're going to be paying this off with that. Now, we may pay it off earlier. It depends upon when we get all these construction projects done, and we know that we are not going to need building fund money to kind of subsidize those. We will probably go and go ahead and pay this off. But when that 7-year time period's up, and we've paid for this conversion, from that point on, that'll be $300,000 a year that will now be freed up to go into the general fund. Now, that's based upon the current cost of electricity. We know that electric bills go up every year. Mm-hmm. And so we're really excited about this. We think it'll be a great thing for the district, and we've studied lots of things about LED lights I didn't know before we started this project. Mm-hmm. But we're really excited about it. We think it'll create a better environment. Basically, the light strength that we'll be able to put into our buildings will be daylight, just as if you were outside the daylight, which is easier on kids' eyes and helps them to be able to see better. So we just think there's a lot of positive in this, and they are actually going to finish this. They'll start sometime this spring, and they'll be done by the time school's out. They're going to bring about 40 electricians within the district, and they'll work around the school calendar. So they'll work on the weekends, they'll work in the evenings.
Wow.
And so we're going to come in and get this knocked out and get it done.
That's impressive. Very impressive. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of the Board Wrap-Up Show. Dr. Pennington, thank you.
Thank you. You bet.
Very much. And the next Board Wrap-Up Show coming your way in January, the next Ponca City Public Schools school board meeting will be January 9th. Then, of course, this Board Wrap-Up Show will be back with you soon after that. I'm Sean Anderson, and thank you for watching.